Having recently returned from Greece, there was a dish there that I realised I haven't done a version of in my recipes. So today I'm going to do pastitsio. Pastitsio would be the Greek version, I think, of lasagna, because there's a layer of pasta, a layer of meaty sauce, and then a bechamel on the top, which is set with eggs. So it's kind of a cross between a lasagna and a moussaka. Here we go. Before we start, a quick word about browning meat. Here's my mincemeat. Ground beef. I've had this in the fridge, uncovered, spread out. You can see it's sort of, it's dried out. Doing that means when you go to cook it, you get a lovely crust. It's because it's dry, a lot of the water has already gone. I cooked the onions, they're lovely and soft. That's taken about 7 to 8 minutes. I'm adding garlic and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and I'm going to cook that for about a minute. Next thing to go in is the mincemeat. If any of you are wondering about the pan that I'm using, it's from Netherton Foundry. It's absolutely fantastic. I try not to use non-stick pans now and have invested in a few of these because they are naturally non-stick. So you're going to put your meat in, season it with some salt, and I'm going to turn it up a bit because I want to brown it all over. Use a fork to just break up any lumps and get a nice bit of colour going. Meat is nicely browned now, so I've got 150ml of red wine. Can you hear that bubbling? I'm going to use my trusty scraper to use the red wine to scrape off any bits of food that are stuck on the bottom. Because this is a nice wide pan, it's bubbled and reduced very quickly. You just want to get the alcohol off. I'm just going to leave the camera on for a minute because this is nearly done. It smells beautiful. Now I'm going to put in a tin of chopped tomatoes. I'm also, so it's not wasted, going to pour my stock into that tin and give it a swirl. Just give this a mix up. Lastly, the stock will go in. Then I've got a cinnamon stick, a bay leaf, and I've got 4 cloves. Now, you can either take all of this out. You might have a job looking for the cloves, so just warn your guests, there might be a clove. To be honest, I really don't care if I bite into a clove. Right, that's come to a boil. I'm going to lower the heat and I'm going to leave that bubbling until most of the liquid has gone, which will take probably about 30 minutes. While the sauce is cooking, I've cooked the pasta, I've drained it, I've put it in here. I'm going to add some olive oil to stop it clumping together. I'm going to pop in the feta. I'm going to crumble it into little pieces. Then I'm going to leave it to cool for a few minutes before I whisk in the egg, because otherwise the egg will just scramble. I've left that for a couple of minutes. I've got a buttered tin. I've buttered it on both sides, so I'm going to pour the egg in. I've also got some parsley. Give it a quick stir, get everything coated. Lovely. You won't need to check the seasoning on your pasta, because obviously the feta is salty. I'm not going to redo that silly bit of film. You can see me having complete and utter brain seizures as an older lady. I'm going to tip this in here. There we go, that's all of it. And then I'm going to smooth that out on the bottom, and that can sit and wait now for the layer of meat. The next thing is the sauce going on top of the pasta. I've managed to, so far, get out 2 of the 4 cloves. So I'm just going to, very carefully, I'm going to spoon this over and look for the cloves as I spoon it over. I've melted 120 grams of butter. I am stirring in 120 grams of flour. I want to just cook the flour out for a minute or two. I have also preheated the oven to 160 degrees. So just cook out the flour. I'm going to add a little pinch of nutmeg. You can use freshly grated nutmeg. And once this has cooked out for a minute or two, I'm going to start slowly, just turn the heat up a little bit. It is on a reasonably low light, just very slowly, gradually adding the milk. And take your time. Sauce is lovely and thick. I'm going to whisk in half of the grated parmesan, whisk that in, and then I'm going to very quickly whisk in the eggs, and then I'm going to pour it over the top of the sauce and pasta. As I said, the oven is preheated. There we go, lovely. I suppose I should do the saucepan that way so you can see. Not a lot to see. Don't want to waste any. So this is, because you wouldn't, in a sort of straightforward lasagna bechamel, you wouldn't put in the eggs, but in a bechamel that you would put on moussaka, you would put in the eggs. It's going to make it light and fluffy, completely calorific, and really very, very tasty. Lastly, use the rest of the parmesan and sprinkle that evenly over the top, and it will go in the oven for 35 to 45 minutes. You want the top to be brown and bubbling. Oh, and when it comes out the oven, you want to leave it to stand for at least half an hour before you try and cut into it. I even made mine the day before, it's far better. The pastitsio was cooked. I divided it into 8, I let it cool, I divided it into 8, so I've got 4 here, which I'm going to reheat for our supper tonight. And the other 4 pieces I'm going to open freeze in the freezer and then bag them up, and they'll be there for whenever I fancy a little bit of comfort food. That's the end.